I'm still in quarantine and haven't been on Craigslist ever since. It could have turned out much worse. I work at the local Best Buy, just a few minutes away from my home. But I was recently furloughed because of the entire coronavirus pandemic. I was stuck in quarantine, so it gave me a lot of free time. To the point where I was going crazy with all the time I had on my hands. I decided to purge my garage and throw away junk I no longer needed and maybe sell a few items that might be worth selling off. I lived in Las Vegas, so I longer had no need for my winter clothes, which I packed with me when I moved here from Portland a few years ago. I listed a rain jacket on Craigslist, and surprisingly, within an hour, I already received 5 offers for it. The other 4 people were flakes, but one guy texted me offering $40 for the jacket, and then another $20 to drop it off at his house. I really didn't want to leave the house because of the whole social distancing thing, but he begged and pleaded, saying that he had matters to attend at home and couldn't leave his house. I reluctantly agreed. I didn't have shit to do anyways. The townhouse, which was only about 6 miles away, and when I pulled up to the address, I noticed an open garage filled with piles of plastic storage bins, tools, and random things scattered everywhere. The man looked to be in his late 30s, which was about my age, pacing around the garage, scavenging through his junk. As I held the coat and approached the driveway, I said in a calm, curious voice, "Are you getting ready for the garage sale?" "No, I'm just getting rid of junk I don't need," he said in a warm chuckle. I laughed back and said, "Me too," in a friendly manner. I noticed a video gaming chair and a computer desk placed off to the side as I handed him the coat. My eyes lit in excitement to see whether or not it was for sale or if he was willing to part with it. I didn't ask, but thought of doing so in my head. I wasn't too uncomfortable asking a guy I didn't know. He noticed I was scoping it out and smiled at me with a sinful grin. "If you didn't know by now, I work at Best Buy, so you must think I'm a computer nerd or a gamer." Well, I'm both, and I thought those pieces would be great additions to my game room. He tried on the coat and said, "Perfect fit. See? It was meant for me," and handed me $60 while trying to engage a conversation. I said thanks and walked back to my car, glancing one more time at the table before driving off. I was sitting in my car and see him still wearing the coat, with his eyes still staring at me, and then suddenly taking a long, passionate sniff at the coat, savoring the scent. That was strange. Really strange. Later that night, I was on Craigslist looking through different ads for computer parts. I stumbled on a listing with the same desk and chair that was at the man's house. "What the hell?" I said to myself in confusion. I kept reloading the screen to make sure I wasn't just seeing things. Oddly, it was just posted an hour ago. The description didn't have a number, which I would have recognized from his text earlier. It only had an email link that I responded to immediately. Minutes later, I get a text message, and it was the same guy that I sold the jacket to. My heart pulsed. "I saw you looking at the desk and chair. If you want it, I can sell it for cheap. Just come by the house tomorrow and I'll offer you a good deal." He typed with a smiling face emoji at the end. I responded with an "okay," followed by a cash emoji. Weird coincidence. The next day I drive over and notice the garage still wide open with all his belongings still spread out all over the place. But this time, the desk and chair were missing. Maybe they were somewhere else. Stomping my way up to the driveway in confusion and irritation, he walks out with his arms flaring out and voices, "Sorry, dude. This guy came up and offered a boatload of cash. I couldn't pass it up. I had to take the money." I just shook my head in disgust. "What the hell?" I said. At this point, I was starting to get pissed off. Couldn't he have just told me he had sold it instead of wasting my time driving over here? First he tells me a shitty excuse, and then he insults me with a phony apology. No hard feelings, he says, while trying to hand me a cold soda while being friendly. Whatever, man, I said. I snatched the drink and chugged it as I hurried to the car. I gladly chucked the bottle into a bush, gave him the middle finger, and drove off. Again, he stood there waving goodbye as I drove off, still wearing the jacket I sold him. At this point, this guy was creeping me the fuck out. That's the last time I'd see that bastard, though, or so I thought. That night I get another text from him, wanting to know if I want to come over for a beer, feeling bad for what he did. I didn't reply. Bored out of my mind, I scrolled through Craigslist again, trying to kill time. What happened next scared the living crap out of me. I see another listing, but this time, it's an ad for my car, which is for sale, with pictures taken of it in front of my driveway. At this point, fear ran through my blood and my heart was throbbing. This guy knows where I lived and has stepped foot on my property. I lived with my cousin Jeff, and he didn't recall seeing anyone outside in the past few days. We both checked the security cameras, and sure enough, there he was, early that morning around 6 a.m., roaming around the car and taking photos. He looked very calm and relaxed, as if he knew what he was doing, not panicking at all as he snapped away on his phone. He didn't try to break in or even look inside the car. No, all he wanted was photos, just photos. I debated with Jeff on whether to call the cops or drive up to his house and beat the crap out of him. He didn't do anything wrong, so I didn't think it was good enough reason to press charges and have him arrested. We had a plan. This time Jeff used his phone to text the guy about buying the car, and he responds back, "Yes, the car is still available and in great condition. Come by tomorrow if you want to take a look. I'll make you a great offer." The following day, we drove Jeff's car to the man's place, as I sat hidden in the back seat to avoid detection. His windows had a dark limo tint, so he wouldn't be able to see me through the glass. We pulled up to the house, and of course there was no car. There he was in his garage, pretending to pace around. Jeff walked up to greet him, and I could see both of them talking and showing him other items in the garage. I think he was trying to figure out what Jeff was interested in. Jeff had his phone clutched in his hand and FaceTimed me right before he walked up to the house. I could see and hear the entire conversation. The man had given Jeff the same reason as he had given me. He sold the car to someone else earlier that morning who offered him a ton of cash, which he couldn't pass up. I realized all his ads on Craigslist were all fabricated. I was in shock to see the table and chair through the video chat still sitting in the back of the garage. He had never sold it. It was all a lie. But why? Was he just a sick, lonely, mentally ill man that made up fake Craigslist ads to lure men to come over to his house? Apparently so, and sent shivers down my spine and made me nauseously sick just thinking about it. During the ride home, we both chuckled about the story, feeling a sense of relief. We were fortunate that nothing horrific happened to either of us. It could have turned out much worse. That night, I blocked his number, changed all the locks in the house, and deleted my Craigslist account. I'm still in quarantine and haven't been on Craigslist ever since.